Bismillah. Sufyan, Abdi, cover it.
Welcome to accidentalmuslims.com. We have an amazing guest sitting with us this morning.
You might have to revise that amazing part.
I've seen some of your videos and your talks to the youth. Yes. And I think that amazing would be a good way to describe that. It has been inspiring. I think you hit a chord with your audience. And that's very important because you're serving a segment of the community that's often overlooked, often neglected, often feeling that they are not being heard, and then when you speak to them, they're being heard.
Yeah.
So tell us more about SQ. Firstly, who is SQ?
SQ is a regular brother dude from the Bronx, New York, and just someone who had struggled growing up, and I know what it's like to feel alone. I know what it's like to not, associate or see yourself within the religion, feeling like you stand out and you don't really fit in, and feeling like there's no place for you within this deen. And what that did for me, and I know for a lot of others who watch this and are listening to this, it alienates them. It puts them away from the deen, and they associate negativity towards the deen, and they run away from the deen, very similar to how I was doing it once upon a time. So that's who SQ is. It's a dude who understands how people are feeling, because I've been there, and my entire goal is to make sure that people, are not feeling that way, if that makes sense.
So tell us about your journey.
Yeah.
What was the journey that then led you to SQ and to doing the work that you're doing now?
In the beginning, I used to think that my journey, I was really ashamed of it. I was really shy of it. But to be honest with you, bro, it's like my biggest asset. It's like my underdog advantage, right? The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed me to go through everything that I've been through. I've been through a lot, and I don't know how much time you have in this podcast to discuss that, but I've been through a lot. And I just feel like in the moment, I'm thinking, Allah, why me? Right? Why me, Allah? Why are all these things happening to me, Allah? Why is these things going on? Why aren't my family together? Why aren't my parents together? Why are these problems in our houses? Why am I seeing what I'm seeing? Why are we going through financial difficulty? What's happening? But then I realize now that Allah put me through that so that I could develop my character, I can develop my relationship with Him, and more importantly, I can relate to others who have been through and are going through such things. So my journey's been a long one, but honestly, it's not over yet. I feel like it's just beginning.
I love that optimism, and I think many youth struggle with this idea that they're just at the beginning. And so they've made mistakes in their life, or they are currently, as you said, going through difficult, and they think this is it. It's very difficult for them to see beyond that.
Yeah.
How do you get that optimism of it's just the beginning so that you can drive yourself forward?
So it's easy to be pessimistic. It's easy to be negative. I think that our brains are actually hardwired to be a little negative. That's why the Quran is always pushing us and challenging us to be positive, because our brains are just wired to always look for the problems. We're actually wired that way, to just look for the issues so we can continue to improve them, but we never stop to really thank Allah for all the things that we do have. I think that it's easy to just be negative and just think that my life is over, because the more difficult part of that is holding yourself accountable and saying, right, how can I get myself out of this situation? So it's easy to just throw in the towel and to give up. And a lot of times in today's generation, the youth have such a low self-esteem that because of this low self-esteem, they're more likely to give up than the average person who are much a little older. As they say, they wear their hearts on their sleeve, so to speak. It's because we're worried about so many opinions and judgments. But the truth of the matter is that it's easy for you to give up and wanting to give up. It's difficult for you to see the silver lining in things. And that can only come from an immense amount of trust and belief that, Allah, you got me. There's no, Allah, you got me. And Allah, why would I ever doubt or deny thinking that you don't got me? Okay, it might not feel like that right now, but any minute the help of Allah is near. That's what it is. And the Quran challenges that and always pushes us through that. When the companions asked the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where is the help of Allah? When will the help of Allah come? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately answers is the help of Allah is near. So we have to be patient. During that time of patience, that's when our character develops. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is developing our character. He's using these opportunities for you to become optimistic. That little gap between that's what's going to elevate your status into paradise. And that struggle that you're going through is what's going to really, really challenge you and raise your ranks in Jannah. And on the Day of Judgment, when you get there and see the reward for your challenges and your struggles, you're gonna wish and ask Allah, I wish my whole life was this. Because of what they see physically manifested, the physical attributes of what their struggle looked like, the reward of that, they would wish their whole life was like that, if that makes sense.
So how was SQ in school? Was he so confident, so cool, so optimistic?
That's a really good question. In school, man, like I came during post 9/11. I came a day, hours before 9/11. And it was a tough time growing up in New York City.
So you came from Pakistan?
Yeah, from Pakistan. I was born here, not here in South Africa. I was born in the United States, but I had lived in Pakistan for a little bit. Then I moved to New York, and I had just arrived, and then this thing happened, and I didn't understand it. I started middle school, so it was 8th grade for me, and it was a hot mess, man. Just the fact you're brown, it's over. It was over for you. So I found myself shying away from my religion. I didn't have any self-confidence much in myself. My identity was based upon me not being a Muslim or being Pakistani or identified to be Pakistani. And I just shied away from anything that's affiliated with that whatsoever. So I don't feel like I was truly myself in high school or in middle school. I was always being someone that someone else wanted me to be just so I could fit in. But there were always glimpses and sides of me that when people actually got to hang out with me, they were like, yo, you're actually pretty funny and cool. I'm like, yeah, I feel like I am, but I didn't come off that way. I didn't look that way. But until you get to know me, you see that, oh, actually he's really, really down to earth. But the more, it's funny, bro, I developed like this more, the more I learned about Islam. The more I learned about Islam, that's when I really, really felt like I came into myself, right? Like for so long in university and high school and middle school, I always felt like I was being someone that someone else wanted me to do or be. But now, ever since I discovered Allah and I had a lot of more self-awareness within myself, I feel like I'm actually myself now. Like this is who I am, this is who I want to be. And anyone who doesn't like it, Assalamu alaikum, you know what I mean? It's cool and you don't have to like it. But I feel like ever since I really discovered Islam, I've found more like who I am. And I've come into my own with my speaking, with my sense of style. And I have this old video I'm going to show on YouTube one day, like I'm going to react to it. It's like one of my first YouTube videos. I look at that, I'm like, who is that guy? I don't even know him. And in the beginning when I would try to speak, like in the beginning, like before even social media, like the beginning, I would always try to speak like my favorite speaker, I would always try to speak like someone I admired. Which is, fine. Sometimes you need to, base your strategy or your style off of someone. But it wasn't me, it wasn't me. I was like controlling my hands so I don't speak with my hands because I know how excited I get. I get out of my seat, I do this. I was just like, Assalamu alaikum, thank you so much for watching. And I'm just like, that's not me. I'm more free. So I feel like the more I learned about Islam, the more like I came into myself.
Amazing.
That makes sense.
That journey of coming into yourself, I think that's something that many young people are struggling with because they're sort of in that imitation phase and they're trying to develop an identity, but there's a lot happening for them.
Yeah.
If you would now look back at those young years, what advice would you give yourself so that you could come into yourself? I don't want to say sooner, but maybe give yourself that guidance that you needed.
Yeah, no, man, that's a really good question, and I often think about this. I often think about like, what would I tell baby SQ, like back in the day SQ, like what would I do? And if my advice is always to myself is just like, find Allah as soon as you can. Because the truth is that we're behaving like someone else because we don't know who we are. That's the reason we behave like other people. That's why we fall into peer pressure. That's why we have FOMO, keeping up with the joke, where we don't know who we are. And I don't blame you for not knowing who you are because you don't know who your creator is. If you don't know who your creator is, you don't understand him, therefore you don't understand your purpose, therefore you don't understand yourself. So why wouldn't you be lost? In fact, if you feel woke and found, I think it's very shallow. If you don't know who Allah is and what does He want from you and your purpose, your journey, and why He created you, not the typical, to worship me sort of answer, but like, why did Allah create you? Why did Allah allow you to blossom and listen to this message? Until you don't figure out who Allah is and what your purpose is and, what He wants from you and who Allah is in respect to understanding His qualities, His attributes, His names, you'll always try to fit in and do your best to, fit in with people, and you'll have that fear of missing out. that I'm not fitting in. No, but it's because you don't know who Allah is and what He wants from you. So you don't know yourself because you don't know who Allah is, your Creator. So if I could go back in time and give my advice or give advice to anyone watching out there, listening out there, it would be really discover who you are. But the only way that can happen is if you discover who Allah is.
I like what you speak about, this idea of the generic answer that people usually give, and although it's valid,
Of course,
valid, you need to go a little bit deeper as into like who exactly you are as an individual. Because yes, everybody is here to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is evident. But secondly to that, we all have our own journey in our life, our own struggle. As there's a hadith that goes in the effect that we've come from the lesser struggle to the greatest struggle. And my understanding of that hadith was that everyone has their unique outward struggle. The inward struggle is we all have the same inward struggle against the nafs, but every human being has their own unique outward struggle that's unique to themselves. It's unique to their circumstances. It's unique to the time they're living in. Could maybe touch a little bit more on how do you find that outward struggle that's unique to you?
You said something earlier. You're like, how does the youth or someone going through something like feel motivated or positive or something like that, and not feel like they're stuck in their situation? It comes from them understanding that where they are right now, if they're not where they need to be, or they don't feel spiritually where they need to be, or if they feel like there's so many tests in their lives financially, they're not where they need to be, they need to understand that this isn't the climax of their book, of their life. This is not the conclusion of their story or of their life's movie. This is the interval, this is the intermission, this is halftime. Now it's time for you to get back in yourself, get back in your head, and let yourself then know, okay, we had a little struggle going over here, but now, after this, things are going to get better. You have to tell a different story. You keep telling yourself this story, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of, I suck, I'm the worst, my life sucks. Then guess what? Everything starts sucking. Everything starts becoming worse. And, the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has taught us, one attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that He is to His servants or His slaves what you imagine Him or think to be. If you just think that Allah doesn't like me, Allah doesn't care about me, then your whole life will follow that trajectory. You have to snap yourself out of it. Like, your life isn't over. You're 14, you're 15, you're 16, you're 30. That's nothing, right? Allah give us more life, but you can still regain control of your life and say, no. You're not addicted to pornography. Yeah, I was addicted to pornography, but then. Tell me, but then what? Right? If you're struggling financially, yeah, I was struggling financially, but then. Finish your story how you want it to be finished, right? Stop thinking that you are a product of your circumstances. Stop thinking that, life is happening, to me. Everything is all against me. No. Life is happening for you. Allah Azza wa Jalla is doing things for you to develop you, but you gotta snap yourself out of it. You have to have a little more quality in your life where you feel like, no, I need to regain control of my life. So that's just to touch upon what you said before. And, to add on to what you were saying now, which I kind of forgot the question, sorry. I was thinking about, how do I do that? What was the exact question so I don't, stray off? I'm sorry.
Just going a little bit deeper in identifying your unique outward struggle as to why you specifically.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to it, right? What I'm saying is that is your unique struggle. Whatever test that you have is unique to you. Allah has tailor-made and fit your struggles to you. It's like the perfect suit. Allah has tailored it for you because Allah knows what you can and can't handle. So the fact that, you might feel like Allah is testing you with a lot, but He's not testing you with more than what you can handle. The real question is, when will you finally believe in yourself to know that you can pass this test? You can get through this. You can make it happen. When will that happen, right? When will you realize that if you're being tested with something right now, that means Allah believes in you? When will you learn to believe in yourself? So that's what it really comes down for me, that you gotta wake up to realize that, okay, if Allah's testing me, Allah knows I can do this, so you know what? I can do this. I can make it happen. And that's the moment you start shifting. That's when things start opening up for you, because guess what you're doing? You're relying on Allah. You're trusting on Allah. And now you're thinking a little more highly of yourself. You know what? I got this. I can do this. I can make this happen because Allah loves me and He would never test me more than I can handle.
So, Eski, tell me about your career. In school, did you know you want to be sort of an educator or teacher? Tell us about that story.
That's a really good question. I honestly, I wanted to just make a lot of money because my goal as a youth was to get a lot of girls. And I associated girls and money together. I thought that, hey, girls come to get money. I don't know. But when I earned actually a lot of money in my life, I didn't find satisfaction. I didn't find like that happiness that a person should get when they earn a lot of money, because I thought like that's what it was. But I didn't know about teaching, about wanting to teach, but I found out like much later on that I did have a gift of explaining. I found that I had a nice way of breaking things down and giving analogies and metaphors to make things more relatable to. This has always been true with me, always, right? Giving examples, whether that be of a sport, to make sense to that person, you know. So that's something that I always have, but those are qualities of a teacher, you know. And then when I found out, and when I actually followed the trajectory of being a teacher, I found that not only did I enjoy it, but you know, the messenger Sallallahu was the best teacher. Like I was like, but you know, when you're in theory and sitting in class, I'm like, but the messenger did that. Like that exact thing that you're teaching me in a university, the messenger was doing that, you know. And you handed me a book, bro, off camera about the emotional intelligence of the messenger Sallallahu. His emotional intelligence level was like up there, like no one's touching his emotional. He was so, you know, there was a companion who, you know, there was a time for war, they were all standing in like a little row, and he you know, like he tapped his belly because his belly was out a little bit, and immediately he saw that he got offended by that the fact that he tapped his belly, you know. And the messenger Sallallahu was so sensitive to how people perceived him, how people took his advice and everything like that. So he knew how to narrate something, he knew how to say things, and how he like code switching, you know. He knew, he was so good at it. And then when I would learn more theory, I'm just like, wow, that's how Allah teaches us in this book. He teaches us through examples. So I'm just thinking that, wow, Islam and Allah and the Messenger Sallallahu, these are like the best of teachers to us. And I said that I felt like teaching is super aligned with Islam, and I felt like people who are, you know, sometimes teaching Islam, like if you look at your favorite speakers, right? You look at Mufti Mek, you look at Nolai Khan, you look at Omar Suleiman. The truth is that not only are they great speakers, but they're good teachers. That's just the facts of the matter, right? They know how to break things down to you. That's what makes them really, really good. Because you can have all the knowledge in the world, PhDs from Medina, Azhar, wherever you want to get them from. But if you don't know how to explain things, you're going to lose the people, man. So you have to know how to break things down and explain things to people. I think it was Albert Einstein who said that if you can't explain it to someone, you don't really understand it. So you have to be able to explain it in your own words and like bring it home to people and speak it at their level. Not speaking above them, you know, or through them. It's to them, speaking, you know, directly to them at a level they can understand.
So you're a teacher. You teach. What do you teach?
I'm an actual licensed teacher, you know. Like I might not have a license to do this, but you know, I have a real license from the state of New York to teach children. I teach math at the moment, bro. I teach math, mashallah. I teach a lot of you know, English language as well, naturally, but math is my main subject that I'm certified to teach.
At what level do you teach?
Well, at the moment I'm teaching 6th grade. I've taught 8th grade. I teach also high school in the evening times. But I'm trained and certified to teach up to qualified to teach up to high school and college level of math. But currently I'm only teaching 6th grade middle school math, as you would call it.
You mentioned it earlier about, you know, getting to know Allah in order to know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not feel that we can do a better job, you know, as a Muslim community or as a society or parents, or you look at the spectrum in terms of creating an enabling environment? You know, if you use like a term, you know, like people speak about having a business enabling environment, for example. So if I take the term like an Allah enabling environment, because often we found our environments, even in the Muslim community, is not Allah enabling. You know, I'll give a small example of that is, you know, in America, you guys have prom, which I think is quite a big thing.
Yeah.
And we have something with a Matik dance, you know, which is our version of the final year. And that's something that's, you know, celebrated even in the Muslim community. It's a massive event, you know, having guys and girls dressing up, going together to this event, and there's usually an after party and stuff. And you know, when in fact when I was in high school, they'd actually put this, schedule this particular event in Ramadan. And there was a massive uproar about, oh my word, how can you schedule it in Ramadan? You know, don't people know that
they dropped the ball, man.
We can't make it. And so they actually rescheduled the date so that
I'm happy you didn't say they rescheduled Ramadan. That's good.
they rescheduled the date of it so that it was out of Ramadan because the Muslims wanted to go.
Good.
And often, the parents is in support of their children participating in that. So how do we create, and work towards creating an environment where we say, look, we are Muslims, we have a certain ethos, we have a certain way of doing things, and let's say promote that rather than just going with what the society is putting out there?
Bro, I think it comes down to a lot of knowing who you are and what you can and can't do. I think that people are afraid to say this, but because they're afraid to put people off from Islam. They are, they're afraid to talk about, like, there's certain things that you can't do because they're afraid that that's going to make a person not be into the deen or make them feel like they're a little low or whatever the case might be. But the truth of the matter is that there's certain things that we can't do. That's just what it is. It's not everything. Most 99% of things we can do. There's just that 1% that we can do. Things like free mixing, like being with men and women and just doing extra things and dating. There's certain things that we just can't do. But what happens is this: 99% of things we can do, 1% we can't. But the shaitan does such a great job of making us feel as if that 1% is the 99. Oh my God, everything is haram, right? Oh, I can't be with a girl. Oh, I can't drink. Oh, I can't smoke. Oh, I can't do all these things like that, right? Oh, what can I do? Can I breathe? Is that halal? Is that okay? The truth of the matter is, bro, that the shaitan has beautified that 1% to feel like 99% of the things you can't do what you want to do. And he's made that actual 99% to be the 1% now. So certain times Muslims need to come into their own and realize that, look, like I need to create an environment where, children are proud. Like, if suppose you want to have that dance, right? I know in America when they do it at the schools or whatever, like if you just want to dance, right? If you want to have a gathering, let's suppose, like leaving the music element, you want to have a gathering, then we're going to do an all boys gathering over there. Come through, chill with the lads. We'll have some halal drinks, and some nice food, and just gather together and horse around and play around and stuff like that. Okay, if that's what you want to do. The sisters come together, they wear their best of dresses because they're amongst each other. They take down the hijabs, the hair's let down, and this is just an all sisters gathering. That's their dance, quote unquote, that comes to them. Okay, that's cool for you. But if that's not the goal, then you actually just want to see boys and girls together. If you just want to dance with girls, then that's what you want to do. You get what I'm saying? So if you want to create an environment where, the boys get to do their own thing and the girls get to do their own thing separately and they're not doing that, I can understand that. But the truth of the matter is that you actually desire what you see in the movies. You actually desire that prom experience, You desire these things. So because of that, you feel inferior if you don't get that. It's that FOMO, it's that fear of missing out, right? Like, oh, but they're doing it, and the non-Muslims are doing it, and all these sort of things. But the truth of the matter is that you're insecure about your deen and your religion and what you can and can't do. So my advice to anyone is, like, create an environment where they can do stuff, and there's a lot of things to do. And, we do have an uphill climb because our youth do see things that are very attractive. But your job is to figure out, without compromising the deen, without compromising the sunnah, how can I sort of bring that flavor to what we're doing? And there's no cookie cutter answer for that. How do I bring that flavor without sacrificing any of our values to that? And that's the essential goal, and that's what I do with my YouTube channel, right? With my social experiments. How can I bring something that's really, really attractive, but in a halal manner? That doesn't violate any rules, any rights of Allah that has over me, any of the sunnahs. How do I do that? So it requires you to put your head together and figure it out, but it requires you to also know what are your beliefs and your values. That I will never sacrifice my values and my beliefs. I just won't. I have to align both of them, and my beliefs are that Allah is, the top priority to please, and my values have to adhere to that belief, which is the most important thing.
So you spoke about YouTube, you spoke about being online and social media. How did that start? Like, I think it started about 3 years ago?
It did start 3 years ago, and actually in April it's going to be 3 years.
So the key question is not how, is why.
Why?
Yeah.
So one of my good friends, so exactly the way I'm with you guys, exactly if you've caught any of my clips with the youth, I've always been like that. I've always been like, my craft might have improved through my experience and getting better and better and better. And I'm still not like I still don't feel like I'm good yet. I read books on public speaking. I read books about how to deliver messages and relate to people. Like the journey never stops, you know. Like I'm not where I need to be, and inshallah, when you invite me next time, inshallah to South Africa, inshallah if Allah, you know, gives us life and the ability to come back, you know, I would hope to say, man, you've gotten better. Because isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Like, aren't we supposed to just get better? I would want to see this podcast and be like, yo, you guys have really stepped it up, yo. I remember when you start, and that's a good thing. It's a humbling journey. You start low, like, you know, mashallah, now I have a nice camera in front of me. That's like an $800 camera. But once upon a time, it was a phone. It was literally a phone, me walking around and just talking to you about these things. And by the way, it still is a phone. My number one recording instrument is the phone. So if you're asking, how did my journey start? It started from me, you know, being encouraged by someone seeing potential in me, saying that, bro, you can do it. You can make this happen. So when someone believes in you, bro, you somehow learn to believe in yourself. Sometimes you need someone to believe in you. You know, even the Messenger Sallallahu, when he came back from the mountain scared, shivering, he needed someone to believe in him. And his wife Khadija radiallahu anha believed in him. And even after that, during the time when she was alive, one of the things that broke him the most when his wife passed away during the year of sorrow was that she was the first person to believe him. While everyone said he's a madman, when everyone is saying he's a poet, when everyone is like tarnishing his character, she was the only person on this earth to believe him. Think about that for a second. Yeah, we have the companions. Yeah, we have all these, you know, giant names. But let's not forget the first person to believe him and comfort him was a woman, and it was his wife. And it just shows you the importance of having someone to believe in you. You need someone to believe in you, bro. And I was lacking that, and someone believed in me, and they said, SQ, you need to start like a YouTube channel. You need to. And I didn't believe him. He was like, no, you must do that. You know, and you know when I have my South African you know, Sister Nadia or, you know, Uncle Ashraf, and, you know, they're saying things to me, and I'm just like, you know, it was alright. They're like, no, it's good. It's good to hear that you can do something, because it improves your standards, it improves your beliefs. So my number one thing to anyone who's trying to like start something out there, just start it. Stop seeking validation. There's so many people who come on my page say, hey guys, go check out my profile. That's not the best way to market anything, to be honest with you. It comes from you developing a community of your own and being a part of other people's communities. So if there's someone who is like trying to, you know, grow their social media platform, if they come onto my page and they just type in, hey, come check out my, you know, for example, you want to do a podcast, come check out my podcast. People may or may not do that. They might feel it's kind of spammy. But what if instead you took a different approach? What if you came into my community, became a part of my community, and every time people said a comment or said a question on my thing, you were the first one to respond. Before me, you're responding in there and you're bringing them value. And when someone leaves you a nice comment, right? Like let's suppose someone wrote a comment, and you guys from the Muslim podcast, right? The accidental Muslims went and said to them, whoa, that was actually a really, really nice thought. I never thought of it that way. You just said a comment like that. They're like, oh, nice. They like your comment, and naturally they click you. That's what happens. They click you. And they're like, whoa, this is a podcast? Let me check this clip out. Oh, this is pretty dope. Spotify? MashaAllah. iTunes? Okay, let me click it. Next thing you know, you have a new listener. People think that, you know, they want, bro, can I get a shout out? And those are important things, don't get me wrong. But the number one thing is that a person needs to do is deliver and bring value. That's the number one thing you have to do. And I was doing that as well. And, you know, speaking back to how did I get started on this, my goal was to bring value. I didn't know how to do anything. Bro, in the beginning, when I would post a picture, like some Islamic picture or whatever, I'd get five likes on it. And it meant the world to me. I went to all 5 of those people, bro, and I sent them a message thanking them. Every single one of them received a message from me. Till this day, if someone watches my story, what I do is this. It's a true story. I go into my stories and I just scroll. Whoever's watched this, scroll. Thousands of people watching, scroll. I put my finger there. Whoever lands on, I send them a message. Hey, just after for watching. Get back out. Scroll. Stop. Message. Jazakallah khair for watching. I do this all the time. People would get a random. Imagine that. You get a random spontaneous message from me saying, hey, Jazakallah khair, I appreciate you watching. When I upload something, till this day, you know, sometimes people like it before actually watching it. You know, they're just, mashallah, just really, really family. You know, they just like so much love and support. That actually like they haven't even watched it, but they want to be the first like, you know. And sometimes I see them. If you're like the first person who liked my video, or first person to comment on my video, I would not only comment on their post, but I would actually send them a message saying, "Hey, Jazakallah khair, I appreciate it. Hey, and you know, you like my Jazakallah khair, I appreciate it." Because it doesn't stop. You gotta show appreciation. You gotta show these things. And the same way someone believed in me, maybe this message inspires someone and causes them to believe in themselves. Maybe, you know, there was a time where I wanted to give up on YouTube just because I was like, why am I banging my head? Why am I struggling with this? Like, Instagram is working for me. Why don't I just stay there? But something about me, bro, I don't like being one-dimensional. I just don't. You know, like, why did I do a TikTok? Because I don't want to be one-dimensional. You know how afraid I was to do a TikTok, bro? People, you know, I hear people, you hear me now say, yo, follow me on TikTok or whatever the case might be. But do you know how scared I was to be on TikTok, bro? To start a new platform when you have 0 followers, 0, and you know you're cool and relevant on Instagram, but I'm a nobody on TikTok. So I have to do that, and I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of worried about that. So that would cause people to not even try it. Because they want to have a fixed mindset and they want to like be successful here and be the big fish in the small pond. But you can't do that. You have to stretch yourself. You have to grow. So I didn't tell anyone about my TikTok. I used TikTok as a different platform for me to experiment with new types of content. So my TikTok, in the beginning at least, was based upon only giving relationship advice. I just strictly give relationship advice. And bro, it blew up. The amount of non-Muslims who follow me on TikTok is ridiculous, bro. Just for relationship advice. And that's all I do. Relationship advice. Some fun videos every now and then, but mostly it's relationship advice, empowering advice to men and women who are dealing with relationship issues, whatever that might be. It's tough to start. It wasn't easy. I didn't feel comfortable doing it, but you have to. I didn't want to be one-dimensional. I want to be well-rounded overall. Same thing what happened with YouTube. I was afraid because I'm just like, man, I'm so embarrassed. I have like 5,000 subscribers. I feel like, about that. My videos only get 300 views. Well, it feels that I had to learn that it's not what excites the lion isn't the kill, it's the hunt. What excites me can't be, I'm trying to get hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I'm trying to get thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views. It has to be the hunt to get them. It has to be the process, the journey. So, true story, I'm about to give up. I'm thinking I'm on the train. I want to give up so bad. I'm still in New York City at that time, and I had to do something in Manhattan by the pier, by the water. So I'm going there. And I take my camera with me and I record a little reminder for Instagram and I pause it. And I'm just so down on myself, bro. I'm just like, come on. Like, man, why am I wasting my time on this? Why am I feeling so bad about this? Like, just leave it, bro. Then all of a sudden, one of my favorite YouTubers passes by me. And that's Casey Neistat. Casey Neistat passes by me, awesome filmmaker. And all of a sudden, I'm putting my stuff away and I hear his voice. And I'm just like, Casey? And he turns around, he's just running, he's like, hey man, and then he just runs away. And you know, funny enough, I did feel like that was a sign for me to not give up, because I felt like, what are the odds of me seeing Casey Neistat, who is a YouTuber, and I'm thinking literally about quitting, and I'm like, he's a product of not quitting. He's a product of someone who didn't quit at all. And it's inspiring to see that you can have humbling beginnings. So inshallah, one day when I do reach, like next level of success on YouTube, inshallah, and we all pray for your success on the podcast as well, when that will happen, when it will happen, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, so long as our intentions are pure and we keep bringing value to people, we'll look back at these humbling beginnings when you're in these studios and you have studio space. But bro, do you remember when we were in their house and we were setting this up? You'll remember it, you'll remember the camera setup that you have when you're doing multiple top camera views, side cam. You'll remember these things, and that's what Allah has to do to humble you sometimes. And think about Islam. Look at the humble beginnings of the Messenger ﷺ and Islam, starting from nobody. The only people following him was slaves and best friends. Like it was practically what you say, nepotism, where family and friends are only, with you in the beginning. But then look what happened in Medina, because, Allah was preparing the toughness of the messenger for Medina, because he was going to need it. He was going to be a leader of a city, of his own nation. He was going to be a leader of it. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was preparing it. So, Allah is preparing you and I for something greater. So these humbling beginnings are teaching us to be humble and not arrogant from a little bit of success, because it'll remind us that, I remember where I started from. I know my journey. I know my true journey. I know who I really am. And that's the most important part, guys. Like, to really humble ourselves. And these are humble beginnings that will only push us to more success. Inshallah.
What is success?
Man, I think it's different to each person. I think it's unique. Success to you is different from success to me. Success to me before was probably making a lot of money and keeping my family comfortable. Honestly, it was. But after coming over here and seeing how, auntie and uncle live, and seeing how you guys are, you're coming to the events, but then you're packing up immediately and saying, bro, I gotta go to work. I'm like, nah, this is your work. This should be paying the bills. This should be doing everything for you. This should be putting you at that level where this is what puts the roof over your head and everything like that, and more, and some, because you're doing a service to the world. People watching this, people listening to this right now, this is a service, baby. Like, these people that, it's not gonna, you don't just upload stuff. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes sacrifice, It takes a lot, for you to deliver this quality content to other people. It's not easy to do. And you deserve to be rewarded for such a thing in the dunya and in the akhirah, bro. It's not easy to do. We have families, we have things as well. But, bro, success for me now is, having, this well-rounded success, but it's really having the financial freedom to spend time with my family. So that I don't come home to my children at 9 p.m. at night, so that my children come home to me while I'm finishing my work, so that I wake up early, I finish my editing, I finish everything I have to do, and then my daughters come home from school, and I get to play with them, and I'm free now. I'm free. I don't have to, they only see me when dad is tucking them in bed, or I kiss them at night, but they're actually able to spend time with me, That to me is success. Freeing myself from the shackles of a 9 to 5, where I set my own schedule and I'm the boss of my own time, quote unquote, with my work ethic and everything like that. And that's where I'm trying to be, and the only way to get that is by struggling now. And that's what we're doing right now. We're struggling now so that we can be successful later, inshallah.
Sure.
Who are some of your, just to take a quick back step, you mentioned that you need people to believe in you.
Yeah.
And you sort of mentioned that, that you had that Cassie Neistat incident.
Yeah.
But could you maybe get a bit more specific as who exactly are some of the people that have mentored you, that have believed in you, and what are some of the lessons that you've learned from them that you can pass on to us?
Okay, I'll give you the Muslim version of the Casey Neistat story, seeing the Muslim who inspired me to do that. So, this is 3 years ago. And sometimes we want success overnight. Instantaneously we want success. We don't put in that much work, or we put in some work and we just want success immediately. You do a little bit of work and you want a huge reward. That's how people do these rich quick schemes and these pyramid schemes, because they just want quick, fast results. So 3 years ago, I had started my YouTube channel, and it just takes me so long to edit because I wasn't really that good at it, and I'm still not, but I'm learning. And then I started an Instagram page just so that people could keep up with my YouTube channel. But the Instagram is going nowhere, honestly, bro. It's just like I'm posting things, no one really cares. But I'm bringing value, but no one really cares. So I'm in Medina, and I go for some breakfast in my hotel. It's just me and my friend over there. And lights were off because it was just so early. We finished Fajr, we just went over. People were still sleeping. We went straight for breakfast in Medina. We're eating, we're chopping it up. Imagine, the cutlery just bouncing off of the plates, and you hear these sounds and these, clicks and clacks. And all of a sudden I'm eating, we're eating the omelets or whatever. I turn to my right and I see someone sitting there, and I turn back over here and I tell my friend, there's no way that Mufti Menk is sitting right there. There is no freaking way that Mufti Menk is on my right. There's no way that that's Mufti Menk. My heart jumped out of my chest for a second, and I almost had a panic attack. I went up to Mufti Menk, and he was eating his breakfast. He was with his family over there. I said, listen, Sheikh, assalamu alaikum. I know you're eating. MashaAllah, the omelet must be very tasty. I know it's there. I know he's buttering his, bread. MashaAllah. I said, listen, whenever you're ready, I would love to meet you, but just eat your food, So he does exactly that. He comes over and he does super humble, mashallah, nice guy. He bends down. These are these small sunnahs that he was doing that showed immediately that emotional intelligence from Mufti as well. He comes down, he grabs my phone. So think about it. Look how personalized he's making that. I could just take out my phone. But he grabs my phone. So, you know, like, he's breaking those barriers and those walls, you know? He's putting his hand on my shoulder, you know? He's doing these things. He gets my phone and tries to swipe it open so he could do the selfie for me. Like, he wanted to take the picture. He didn't want me to take it. He wanted to take it. Like, these are the small, emotional, intelligent things that, you know, is why people fall in love with him. He's such an awesome human being, along with Barak, except from him. He takes the picture, and immediately I post it on my Instagram, of course, right? That's an honor. And because of how fast I put it, I guess it showed up on his notifications. He clicked it and he immediately liked it. Now, because of his following, naturally, when he likes something and people see it on their timeline, that who's he like, other people started liking it too. And then all of a sudden I have like 200 people liking my picture. And at that time I'm like, whoa, oh my God, that's so much. Like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then I started getting some followers from that then and there. So at that time I was definitely wanting to give up, but I was making a lot of dua as well for Allah to give me like a little jump step, like to help me get there. And Mufti Mac helped me get there, you know? He helped me not, like, he wouldn't know this, but he helped me not give up on this, you know? Like, I wanted to give up, you know? And he helped me not give up by doing that, because he brought a lot of his community to me by doing that. And it made me believe in myself that, look, I can do this, you know, after that incident. So shout out to Mufti Mac, wherever he is right now. Hopefully he's watching this. Maybe he listens to it.
I'll send it to him.
Yeah? Make sure you send it to him.
So you're obviously doing a lot of traveling,
Yeah.
and your work must be quite demanding on you.
Yeah.
So how do you recharge? I think from maybe a social perspective. So who are the people that you go to recharge, to learn from, to seek guidance from, and also what are the activities that you do?
Yeah. So because of my schedule, my schedule is extremely jam-packed. So most of my learning comes from reading. Reading in the morning, I try my best to read from 45 minutes to an hour every day. You know, that includes Quran, and that includes another book, right? It could be an Islamic book, it could be a non-Islamic book, but I try to read and keep myself sharp every single day, right? So most of my learning comes from that, from listening to podcasts, going my best to go to halaqas, and listening to the scholars and listening to them, or perhaps listening to something on YouTube, because there's multiple avenues. It's not where once upon a time back in the day they had to create and do hijrah, to go travel all the way to Iraq, to travel all the way to Spain, to go and learn from a scholar. It's not like that. That scholar can literally be on your phone in moments, you know? Like, that's the sort of environment we're in right now, and that can cause a lot of people to take things for granted and go on a spiritual binge watching, you know? Like, that can also happen. But that's how I try to recharge and like keep myself focused. And off camera, you were asking me, like, how do I keep the ideas flowing, this and that? It's from reading. It's from, you know, listening to other people and taking something that they said and being inspired to say it in my own way that they've said it already. But yeah, it is very demanding, and I do need to decompress at times. And one of my favorite ways to decompress is by watching basketball highlights. I love basketball, and I go on YouTube. And I don't have time to watch a 2.5, 3 hour match, right? A game. I don't have time for that. So what I do is I go onto YouTube and I watch an 8-minute full game highlights of the match, right? And I just go and I just watch it, and it just helps me just relax a little bit from everything that I'm doing. And it just really calms my mind down. But most of my calmness happens by creating, believe it or not. Most of my calmness happens when I'm busy. Like when I'm actually busy online messaging, commenting, I actually get calmness from that. But let's suppose I really just want to just unwind, it would definitely be some basketball highlights.
So you're
I'm not sure if that was the answer that you wanted to hear, watching basketball highlights.
So you're running out of time. I have one question from my side, and then you can close. So when I think of SQ, I see like two phases in your life. Sorry. Like the Jahiliyah phase, you term it like Jahiliyah phase, and obviously now. Is there anything that you miss from the Jahiliyah phase?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's difficult.
If you want to hear it, I'll tell you right now. One of the things that I miss from a Jahiliyah, and this is going to shock a lot of people and surprise a lot of people as well too, because I know there's a lot of people struggling with that at the moment. I would say it would be smoking weed. I'll tell you why. I remember back when I used to do that sort of stuff, and the reason I'm sharing this with you because I know a lot of people are doing this right now. I thought that it was super chill, I get to relax, and a lot of people find themselves being themselves when they are like they're more relaxed, and they're off the edge now, and they all this other things that gives them more or less social anxiety to be around people, and the food tastes good and blah blah blah. Like that's the reason people do it recreationally. But I would say that the reason I like at that time, what it used to do for me is it used to help me think and put my thoughts outside the box, and I felt like I used to think super like a philosopher when these things were happening. But the truth of the matter is that it's an intoxicant, and it intoxicates your mind. I'm not talking about its medicinal benefits or usages. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about its recreational purposes, where you're smoking some weed and then watching YouTube funny clips, and you're eating Oreos. You guys have Oreos over here?
Yes.
You see, and you're just eating sleeves of Oreos. Just downing them. That's the type of smoking I'm talking about, where it's just recreational. You're hanging out with your lads and you're just going for a night out. That's the sort of thing I'm saying that I don't like. That's what it's wrong for, because it messes and alters your state of mind. That's why it's hammer. That's why it's something that's wrong for you. But one thing that I would say, the reason I do miss it is because I used to feel very, very like my mind was thinking those thoughts. But I can honestly say this, that it's not like I don't want to do it now. The reason I don't do it now is for the sake of Allah. And Allah tells us that when you leave something for His sake, He rewards you with it. So if I'm thinking about, weed helps me think, but now I don't need it, and my brain is as sharp as they come, I have ideas flowing in and out without weed. I don't need weed to think like that anymore. Because when I left something for the sake of Allah, Allah unlocked my mind in such a way, alhamdulillah, that allows me to not need marijuana to have these great thoughts that sound like they only come as epiphanies. Now they come to me more smoothly all the time without me doing that, because I left something for the sake of Allah. So if there's anyone out there, and you're smoking, and when you're coming down you do feel a little guilty, there's something that Allah has put in our hearts that allow us to have that moral compass where we do feel guilty, because you're doing something that you're not proud of. So if that's happening, listen to that inner voice, stop intoxicating your mind, and believe me, if you leave something for the sake of Allah, Allah is going to replace it with something far much more better.
Inshallah.
Your favorite Quran ayah or favorite Quran surah or story?
Recently, I've been falling in love with Surah Yasin. And I know that might be a cliche, but I've been falling in love with it now. I feel like it has a different meaning to me now. Being on the online sphere and just like overall online, as you would know, when even at any level that we're on, we're gonna get hate. We're gonna get people who say mean things, and I've learned that the further I get into it, the hate comments get stronger. They get louder. But the truth is that you decide how loud you want them to be. You decide that, right? And if you decide that it's going to be really, really loud, then that's exactly what it's going to be. But the love is louder. The love is way more. But you choose to focus on the hate. So sometimes people say these comments, and by the way, it wouldn't hurt me if these comments were coming from non-Muslims, atheists, but these comments are coming from Muslims, so it hurts a little more. It hits me in the spot. And anyone who tells you it doesn't, they're lying, bro. Like, honestly, yeah, you might not pay it in mind, but there's a part of you that does feel a little hurt. So when they say something like they question my intention. Oh, you're doing it for the views. Oh, you're doing it for this. Oh, you're clickbait. Oh, you're doing that. Bro, that hurts me, because you don't know my intention. But I'm learning to not care what they say, because of exactly that. You don't know my intention. That's why I'm learning not to care. But when people say, this about you, you're doing it for clout, you're doing it for this, you're doing it for that, that does hurt. That does hurt. And that does cause you to self-doubt yourself, like, am I doing it for clout? Am I doing it? But that's a humbling experience from Allah. That's Allah's way of humbling you so that you can recheck your intentions. Because them doing that to you, though it was a hurtful manner, causes you to recheck your intentions and make sure that they're not right. So that you can be like, they're just chatting, they don't know me. I really am not like that. And what happens in Surah Yasin, the beautiful thing is that the Messenger ﷺ is being tortured, being slandered by the people, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by His noble Quran that you are a messenger of Allah. Don't doubt yourself. There's so much self-doubt that you can have when everyone is slandering you. You start believing it psychologically. You start like, wait, is this true? Am I really like this? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is targeting the psyche of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, saying, indeed you are the Messenger. I swear by this Quran. I swear by this feeling. Yasin, you don't understand what those words mean, and you never will know what those letters in the ayah means. That ayah will never be interpreted. You won't be, because the Messenger didn't interpret it. We don't know what it is. By this ayah that you don't understand, the same way you have a feeling that you don't understand. We could be the strongest of people, but that feeling of hurt is, you don't understand why you feel that sometimes. Like, you're strong, your emotional levels are there, your iman is strong, but excuse me. But guess what? You still feel hurt, and you don't know why you feel hurt, but you feel hurt. Allah is swearing by this book that has verses like that indeed you are a messenger sent by me. I've sent you over here. So he's targeting the psyche. And then he's also telling you that indeed you are a messenger of God. You are a messenger of God. So these verses are holding a different meaning to me, because I feel like Allah is speaking to me, letting me know that you're on the right path. You're okay. You're doing fine. The hate is normal. The hate is all these things. Don't doubt yourself. Everything will be fine. Things will get better. So that's like the new meaning that these verses have fallen into my life at the moment, at least.
I think to end on the heart of the Quran is probably the best way to end. And maybe our last encouragement would be to the listeners to listen to Surah Yasin at least every morning. And if you're able to, then recite it in the morning and in the evening. And Jazakallah khairan for explaining the meaning of it to you personally. Because I think a lot of us view the Quran as something for a certain particular time.
Yes.
They don't realize that actually when you're reading it, it's Allah speaking to you, it's Allah's words. And you must see how that
it must impact you.
Exactly, it must impact you. So shukran so much for that. And we'd love to have you back again.
Inshallah.
This was really meaningful. I really trust our viewers found this meaningful.
I hope so.
And we'll see you soon on accidentalmuslims.com.
I appreciate you all. May Allah SWT bless you all.